What's up, everybody? Welcome. It's Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. We're here for a little bit of breaking news on a Sunday. The Longhorns strike back in recruiting after all the woeing and the what's going on, and the Aggies are doing this, and the Longhorns got themselves a Moby Dick today in the world of college football recruiting. Richard Wesley, five-star defensive end out of Chatsworth, California, Sierra Canyon High School. A big deal. A guy that Alex Dunlap on our recruiting staff absolutely adores. Matter of fact, he was basically like, by any means necessary, get that guy. He's committed. It's a big deal. Give a like to the video if you're excited that Richard Wesley is going to be a Longhorn. And hold that thought. I'll return to that in just a second. Yes, he says he's going to be a Longhorn. I do want to tell everybody, jump into the Specs chat away. We'll take some super chats. We'll talk some Texas football recruiting. It's been a big weekend, but we'll talk about Richard Wesley more than anything else. Again, 5 stars. How big of a pickup is Richard Wesley, you're asking? This is amazing. He's currently ranked by Rivals as the number 6 overall prospect in the country. 6'5", 250. Again, number 6 nationally, number 2 in the state of California. Not quite a 6-star, I think, especially when you go through the rest of the rankings. I'll give you those real quick. ESPN also has him as a 5-star, number 18 nationally. On3 has him as the number 42 player in the country. So that would fall inside the land of the super blue chips, but they don't have him as a 5-star. And 24/7 has him at number 35 nationally. Same thing. His On3 industry ranking, right? You merge all those things together. 5 stars, number 24 nationally. Now, the Rivals ranking, number 6 nationally. Rivals loves him so much. And Money B, hold that thought. I'll get to your super chat in just a second. Right out of the gate, as soon as I'm done with some opening thoughts. Richard Wesley, as things currently stand, where he's ranked right now, and this doesn't include guys that would have committed and then decommitted. There's a couple of those. Richard Wesley is the 5th highest rated Texas signee / commitment in the history of the Rivals rankings. This goes back to what, like 2000. Now, the only rankings that are still in the database go back to 2002, but Rivals started before that. The 4 guys ahead of Wesley. You ready for this? Vince Young, 2002. Arch Manning, right? He's the quarterback of the team right now. Jonathan Gray, number 5 in the country, way back in the day. And I think that was an overrating. I think we all have to shrug our shoulders and admit that to some degree. But, man, what if he didn't have the injury? That's an NFL player. And the injury robs him. And then Sergio Kendall. That's it. Those are the 4. VY, Arch, Jonathan Gray, Sergio Kendall. The only 4 players in the history of the Rivals rankings rated higher than Richard Wesley. Now, one of the things that when he committed, because if you'll remember, Richard Wesley committed to Oregon back in the spring. And Dan Lanning jumped into a swimming pool. Do you remember that? It happened. And then he decommitted like 15 seconds later. So he commits to the Longhorns. And it's completely fair if one of the first questions that anybody asked is like, what does this mean? And I did my instant analysis over on Orange Bloods, and one of the things I said is like, look, we all might have to buckle up and get ready for a ride. That one of the reasons why Sark gets a little queasy about taking these commitments this early is that, man, you got to play defense. When a 5-star commits to you, you can say, I'm just on offense. Okay, you can say that, but really, all the schools are coming after you specifically coming forward. And then he has a visit to Ohio State scheduled for August. He's supposed to be at the Ohio State-Texas game as a guest of Ohio State. So before anybody had talked to him, it was easy to wonder, like, hey, man, this who knows? Who knows? We could get to December. Somebody could throw out a monster NIL offer. I mean, we just don't know. This is the first time we've ever gone through what's happening this year with revenue sharing. So who knows, right? But then Jason Sukumel's the first guy to talk to Richard Wesley after his visit. And in an Orange Bloods exclusive, Richard Wesley told Jason Sukumel the following, quote, "I told the coaches this morning. We sat down. Sark kind of froze for a little bit. He was happy, especially the edge coach, Alan Clark. Remember when we did a show on him just the other day? He was kind of at a loss for words. I'm the first commit. I'm his first commit in this class." And then here comes the money quote. Quote, "My recruitment is 100%, 1,000% shut down. I'm going here in January. It feels good. Feels good. It's kind of a hard letting all the other coaches know that have recruited me. I had really great bonds with them, but in the end, I had to do what's best for me. It is for sure a sign of relief. I don't have to go on visits, sit on long calls. Now I just have to prepare for going to Texas in January," end quote. Or as the thumbnail says on the video, I mean, look, we'll see. It's recruiting. It's June 22nd. Again, we've never lived this existence before. And look, the kids from California, Texas would have been able to talk to him about NIL this weekend. And who knows? I don't know. I'll do some digging around. But he says he's shutting it down. He says he's not taking visits. He says he's 1,000% shut down. That's the most you can ask of that guy to say coming out of this visit. He commits. If you were to say, well, what would you prefer him to say? If you were Steve Sarkisian and somebody asked you that question and makes you take truth serum. Truth serum Sark goes, well, I want him to announce that he's not taking any more visits, that he's locked down, that it's us and only us. We're getting married. And even if he doesn't mean it, I want him to say it. But it'd be really important if he just says that. And we can talk about the meaning part as we get going. And he said it. That's all you could hope for. Because I was curious. I wondered, was he going to say, I'm committed to Texas, but I'm still taking that Ohio State visit on August 30th. I'll see Texas then. It'll be so uncomfortable. But he says he's not going to take it. Money B, here you are, $10 super chat. I told you, you had to let me get my little opening salvo out right to you, $10. Anybody else that wants to get into the super chat game, we are open for business. $10. Who's next? Do we get turn time? Okay. Let's go through what I think are reasonable expectations, just kind of instant impressions coming out of the weekend based on what we've heard, based on what I would pass along. Richard Wesley, the Hayes in the barn. That's by the way, I got on my daughter. I'm like, it's making my wrist itchy, but it's got a little peace sign on it. I haven't even really looked at it. She just gave it to me 30 minutes ago. Wesley's in the barn, right? So let's go through the rest of them. Tyler Atkinson, 5-star linebacker. Really impressed by the visit. He's been hanging out with Derek Johnson in Austin this summer. I think the Longhorns are right there. It's a little early to get too carried away, but keep an eye on that one. I think one that you should watch right now, and maybe it takes a week, maybe it takes 2 weeks, maybe it takes 2 minutes, but I think Kosi Akpala, the linebacker from Mavy Creek, who I've got rated as a top 25 prospect in the state. I'm a big fan. Get ready. I would just say that that one I think looks good for Texas. James Johnson didn't say a lot when Orange Bloods talked to him earlier today. The Miami defensive lineman. He's going to be making a decision soon. We'll see. He said it was a good visit, but didn't really tip his hand. Same thing with Caden Protho. Said Texas measured up with the schools he's looking at. We'll see. That kid's from Georgia. There's a lot going on there. Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, Florida. It's an SEC battle. That one's got a long ways to go. Kendall Graville, the defensive lineman from Fort Myers, 4 stars. That one's looking good for Texas. Sit tight. He was going to announce his decision in December. He's moved that up to July 2nd. I think that's really good for Texas. Again, I would tell you, sit tight. Chase Calcutt, my kid from North Shore, who Rivals has ranked as a super blue chip right now, number 56 in the country, top 10 prospect. I don't even have him ranked that high. He's going to announce on Friday. Sit tight. Maybe get a bag of popcorn on Friday and pop it, or I guess now you just microwave it. You don't really pop your popcorn. You nuke it, right? Or whatever you do with a microwave. It's not like when you put the old people out there know what I'm saying. You used to put the kernels in a pot and then you popped it, but now you nuke it, right? So I don't know. But get it ready, because I think Texas fans will want to pay attention on Friday. Chris Stewart, that kid visited. He's committed to Texas. He's supposed to sure up his commitment or announce his commitment, and I think he's just going to come out and say, I'm cool. I'm locked into Texas. I'm not doing anything else. You ask about John Turntine. I think that kid's going to end up at Texas. I think, slow down. I don't know that he hasn't done any interviews that I've seen yet. But everybody's coming out of this doing what you would expect. It was a great weekend. The only kid, Paris Melvin Jr., just scratch that one off. Not happening. There's conversations that got a little rocky. I don't know that Paris Melvin Jr. From Cypress Springs is really on the radar anymore. You can cross that one out in ink. No need to worry about the pencil and the eraser. Ink is fine. Even a magic marker. You just Sharpie. It's good. It's done. Who's next? I think the smart Money B, if I'm being completely honest, is probably the linebacker that I mentioned, Akpala. That the kid from Mady Creek, 4-star kid, a guy that I think everybody's kind of sleeping on nationally. I think he's really good. He's in the sweet spot, 6'2", 215. Oh, baby. That's what I like. If you've ever seen any of the research that I've done over 25 years of recruiting and NFL draft data, the guys that come out from high school and they're listed between 6'1" and 6'3", and 210 and 218, don't get worried about the fact that 218 sounds like a really specific number. And what if somebody weighed 219? I can't help it that the data points are 218. The data points say between 210, actually between 212 and 218 is the sweet spot. Our guy Akpala, 6'2", 215. He's literally the sweet spot. So I like that. He's just, I'm a fan. I don't quite rate him as a super blue chip, but I don't have him that far away. Let's see. All right. I don't see any more super blue chips. People need to not call me while I'm doing the show. I don't know if you guys heard that. It's weird when the phone rings. It's all synced with the computer because of Apple. It's just kind of is what it is. Back to Wesley. This is what I talk about when we talk about Steve Sarkisian recruiting. I have for months been asked, hey, who do you think Texas finishes with in this recruiting class? And look, you go through, do you think they're going to get Felix Ojo? Yeah. And I think they're going to get Jalen Lott. It's like, well, he's going to Oregon and he likes Oregon. It's like, come on. Texas is freaking got Arch Manning at quarterback. This kid, a legacy's not picking Texas now, right? You start working through your mind. You're like, I think they're, this guy's a guy, keep an eye on this guy. And, Lamar Brown, I said, look, if they can get that kid on campus, watch out. Watch out for Texas. Texas didn't finish with the number one recruiting class just 6 months ago for nothing. It wasn't an accident. And I said, look, if we've learned anything in the last couple of years, especially last year with Justice Terry, is that, and we've seen it the last couple of years, Texas will bring guys in June. Brandon Baker is a really good example. When that kid was coming in, I don't think that anybody had Texas at the top. And then it was like, oh, there's Texas. Justice Terry a year ago. That one happens real late. When Texas makes a move, sometimes Texas makes a move and there's just no stopping it. And you know that there are going to be some guys in this recruiting class in December that are national prospect that Texas takes late, and we're not going to know about it in June. That's how Sarkisian recruits. There will be a Justice Terry in this recruiting class. But for now, this is what happens in June. The spring is always a snooze fest. It just is. Sark doesn't care about anything in the spring. Like he's just investing time. He's just giving a spiel. He's not even using all of his recruiting weekends that the NCAA gives him that he could use. He's like, oh, well, we're good. A couple of junior days. We don't need 3. It's the dead period ends. It's the 1st of March. People are having we do a lot of stuff anyway. We're good. We'll do some stuff when spring football kicks off. But I'm gonna let my assistant coaches get some rest. Plus, I want to chill. Plus, I'm about to have a baby. Right? He can't work every damn day. So Sark just didn't care. And then you get to the summer and people start to panic a little bit. And it's like, oh, the Aggies got a 5-star. So what happens, right, is that Texas fans do that thing and they can't help it. Can't help it. A little bit of panic. Not everybody. There are less people that do it now, right? I think there is a sizable portion of the fan base that's like, oh, we've done this before. Sark's fine. But there are people that can't help it. They're emotional at times. Look, fan is short for fanatic, right? And they ask the questions. Is everything okay? What's happening? This Richard Wesley situation is, again, a perfect example of like, you just got to chill the hell out in June or May or April. For God's sakes, yes, April. You have to. So everybody take that big old dopamine hit of Richard Wesley. Inject it. Slobber on it. Num, 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 num. This is why you follow recruiting. When a 5-star kid like this commits to your school, it's supposed to feel good. It does. And if Texas keeps this kid, he projects, if he becomes the guy that clearly Rivals thinks he is, that he's going to be a 1st-round draft pick. That's what it looks like when those guys hit. That's why we interrupt this programming at 5:45 on a Sunday to do a video, because guys like this really matter. Put this one, this is one that you mark. You never know. Like 3 or 4 years from now, you're running pieces of this video back. It's like, this was the day that Richard Wesley committed to Texas on his way to the NFL draft. And he's in the green room. And here's that moment live. These things matter. So I'll get to some more questions. Michael says, how would you compare Richard Wesley and Colin Simmons as prospects when they committed? Michael, the biggest thing is Richard Wesley is the opposite of a tweener, and Colin Simmons is. Colin Simmons coming out of high school, 6'3", 225, and that height and that weight makes him one of these classic tweeners I talk about all the time. That there's only about 5 of them in the history of the last quarter century from the state of Texas amongst a certain level of rankings. 5 guys historically have done it, that have defeated the odds. You're talking Von Miller. You're talking Brian Arakpo. You're talking K'Le'Veon Chason. I'm trying to remember who the other guy was. I don't think it was Sergio Kendall. I think technically Sergio is bigger than 225, but I have to go back and look. But these guys, the guys that do it are freaks of freaks. And that's what Colin Simmons is. But Richard Wesley is 6'5", 250. He's the opposite. I talk about this all the time. A 4-star defensive lineman from the state of Texas, and I know Richard's not from the state of Texas, but the point will hold true in the state of California and other states. Guys that are above 6'4", 240 as high school prospects, the high-level recruits like Wesley, the 4-star, the basic Rivals 250 guy. Those guys hit as NFL prospects at the rates of 5-stars. They do it in the state of Texas. To be fair, I can't speak of the state of California. I have not done that state's historical edge and tweener numbers like I have the state of Texas. But typically, the national numbers and the in-state numbers don't drift too much. They're typically kind of in line with each other. There will be, I'm guessing it hits, okay? It's the dream physical profile, whereas Colin Simmons has incredibly elite physical tools, but not from a size standpoint. That's where they're different. Colin Simmons is, I remember when the Real Analytics group posted a tweet when he was a prospect, and they timed his get off, and they said he was in the top less than 1% all time of guys that they had measured since 1995 or something like that. And it was like, yeah, that's why he's that guy. He's in the top 1% of 1% of guys off the ball ability to get to the quarterback. But he's not built the way you want your defensive ends to be built. Richard Wesley is. So they're just different guys. Richard Wesley is more Alex Okafor. Maybe a slightly more athletic. I think that's probably fair. I think Alex Okafor for me was, by the time he was a senior, he was just amazing at the point of attack. Whereas Wesley, I think, is a better athlete off the edge than Okafor. But yeah, Alex Okafor, All-American, longtime NFL player, total badass. That guy, he's more like that, I think. And Okafor grew into being a giant, but Richard Wesley, he's 250 now. It's not crazy to think that guy's 275 in a few years, and then he's probably playing some 5-tech, who knows? Who knows what happens? So they're different size bodies. Sandman says, I thought this dude was a 4-star. Sandman, it depends on what service you're looking at. Rivals and ESPN have him rated as 5 stars. 24/7 and On3 have him rated as super blue chips, national top 50 kind of guys, but not at the 5-star level. It will be interesting to see what On3 and Rivals will merge. It will be called Rivals, but they're taking the On3 guys and the Rivals guys and they're putting them all in a room together, and then they're meeting in the middle. I don't know. We'll see. That'll probably be one of the first things that happens in July. And the first big thing that On3 will do from a recruiting standpoint is update their own rankings coming out of the Rivals camp, which is this weekend, and kind of everything that's been going on. Elite 11, I expect Diabell to be a 5-star top 10 national player in the Rivals rankings. He's not there yet. He will be. That'll be unanimous when it's all said and done. But yeah, Sam, it kind of just depends on the ranking service. He is a consensus 5-star. I rate that as anybody who's got a 5-star status by more than one of the recruiting services. 2 or more, you're a consensus. So he's that, but he's not unanimous. He's not, and neither is Diabell for that matter. Although, again, I think he will be in time. Derek says, I've been following you for a long time, but hardly ever make a comment, but you look awesome. Good on you. Oh, hey, thank you, Derek. I literally just clicked on that and I did not know that it was going to be a compliment. Thank you. That's nice of you to say. I didn't mean to have a pat on the back moment, but thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just looking around. There's a lot of exciting things. Vivek is like clone. Simmons is like a Von Miller clone. Vivek, he is. It's not an accident that those two guys are essentially the same guy coming out of high school, and they profile. They are. You're right. And so Vivek, that's what it takes when that guy with that physical profile, it takes that. So you have to ask yourself when you're looking at guys with that frame, you just have to ask yourself, do I think that guy looks like Von Miller or Colin Simmons? And if the answer is no, that player historically does not pan out. I know it's a high bar to set. Oh, you know who the other one is? Joseph Asai. That's the other guy that was a tweener as a prospect that made it. It wasn't Sergio. Sergio was a little bit bigger than that from a weight standpoint. It was Joseph Osai because of Osai's height, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah. I think those were the 4. Arakpo, Miller, Osai, and Chason. So, and now Simmons, assuming that Simmons ends up finishing his career as we've seen him start it. Let's see. Oh, good question. Vivek says, who is better, Henderson or Carlton? Vivek, I like Henderson, if I'm being completely honest. I like Carlton. Oh, it's close. Can I just say super blue chips for both and just move on? Vivek says, I think you've underrated Bishop. Dude is special. So, Vivek, here's the thing. What is it? 24/7 has him as a 5-star national top 25 prospect. A five-star prospect, what it has become to mean in the recruiting industry, whether or not this is the way it should be or not, I'm not really here for that debate. But if you've got a guy ranked as a five-star, the way you're supposed to support that is you think that guy's going to be a first-round draft pick. That's what that ranking means. And I outlined this on one of the shows last week, that it has become that to such a degree that if one company rates a kid as a five-star number 10 player in the country, and another school or another service ranks him at number 20, and the kid gets drafted at number 18, the company that ranked him at 20, even though we might do a re-ranking and say that guy was the fifth best player in that class, and so they had him ranked high, that's not how people think of it. People will literally look at where he gets drafted, and they'll say, oh, well, Rivals had him ranked 20th. He was drafted at 18th. Who cares if he was drafted number 1 overall in the draft? The company that, or I guess that's not what I'm saying. He gets drafted 18th. The company that drafted him 20th gets the most credit. So that's just the way it's turned into. I don't look at Jermaine Bishop Jr. as like a future first-round draft pick. I don't know that he's got that kind of speed. He's built physically like Xavier Worthy, and Xavier Worthy is the fastest human being that has ever run at the combine. He literally, fire was coming out of his shoes. And he barely made it into the first round. And he was a tremendous college player. So it wasn't like he was flying under the radar. No, he had a great career. He's one of the best 3 receivers in the history of the Texas program, and he barely went in the first round. And so I just have a hard time looking at Bishop thinking that he's that. I have him rated. I'm open-minded that I'm wrong. I'm explaining to you, though, my process with regards to why I disagree with you. But he's an incredible player. That's what it means to think that a guy's a 5-star. Let's see. All right, guys, I'm looking at it. I appreciate you hanging out with me a little bit today. I'll be back tomorrow here on Orange Bloods Live. We'll have the Monday Overreaction Show or the Overreaction Monday Show, one or the other. I always call it. It's the Overreaction Monday Show, brought to you by Rogue Shop. I just always feel like Monday Overreaction is a cleaner way of saying it. And I don't know how I got vetoed on that. It just became the thing that it became. And then nobody ever listens to me anymore. But yeah, man, if you're excited about Richard Wesley and a badass weekend that looks like is materializing for Steve Sarkisian's Texas Longhorns as they sit 13th in the Rivals rankings with a bullet, they're really just getting started. If you take the specialists away, they're sitting at about 10. They're going to be top 3-5 at a minimum when it's all said and done anyway. And all that matters is collecting super blue chips. They got one today. Bottom line, this is the kind of guy that you stop the presses for. He's a big-time deal. His name is Richard Wesley. He's from Chatsworth, California. He's committed to Texas. According to an interview he did with Jason Sucamel, he ain't going anywhere else. No more visits, no more nothing. He's committed to Texas. We shall see. Guys, I will see you all this week right here on Orange Bloods Live. You guys take care. Talk to you soon. Goodbye.